Welcome to another episode of the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast, joined today by cohort T-Shirt, as well as B. Cole, Brian Cole, who is the former champion, sitting next to the now reigning champion in T-Shirt. Right. Mm-hmm. Cole is the only person who outranks me in our home league in wins. I have 2, Cole has 3. Pat and Timothy Shirtliff have 1 each. So that is the way it shakes down. So you've got some championship pedigree at this table today. Mm-hmm. People who have won their half-point PPR league against their high school buddies who are clearly not experts. But still, we have won. So you should take our rankings very seriously, boys. So serious. Anyways, today we're going to be breaking down a very sexy position. Probably the sexiest position, the highest paid. A lot of people think a team starts and ends with this position. We're breaking down top 10 quarterbacks.
Don't forget the best looking.
That's true. Especially if you're a Niners fan.
Jimmy G.
Jimmy GQ. So today we're going to be breaking those down. We're going to break down our top 10 running quarterbacks. Wow. That was terrible.
It's been
Mike.
a long, we've run through a lot of different positions.
I've had some beer. We have broken down a lot of positions. But today we will be breaking down quarterbacks, and we are going to be doing this before the preseason starts, so these rankings will be updated later in the season. But if you're drafting early, this is the list for you.
Oh, yeah. We're just going to be 3 white boys in the studio just bumping this whole time. I love it.
It's good, right?
Yeah. Just making me feel good about my next white boy that we're going to talk about him.
Oh, yeah. So let's get into it. So our consensus first pick. He's very lucky. He's from the Bay. Well, he played his college career in the Bay.
Where's he from?
Where is he from?
I have no idea.
I'm going to go with where he plays football. He seems like he's from Indiana. I don't
know. He has that vibe. But the man is a favorite around here because of his Stanford football career. And we all love him. I wish he was a Niner. I will always wish he was a Niner. His name is Andrew. His last name's Luck. He's the comeback player of the year last year. He is a man who was drafted number 1 overall. Let's talk about him.
All of these things are true.
Yeah, let's talk about him. All right.
Jim Harbaugh disciple.
Oh, yeah.
Tim and I both have him as our consensus number 1. Cole, you rank him as a number 2.
And this is diverting from industry, which would always put the MVP of the league last season, Patrick Mahomes, at number 1, as Cole has. And Cole's not hating on Luck. He's got him at 2. So this is a pretty consensus decision to have him at the top.
If you have Andrew Luck on your team, it's a strong pick. And, in our mock draft, I think I got him in like the 5th or 6th round, right? Like I got him late.
It's where quarterbacks should be going.
Yeah,
but shouldn't be going round 2 or 1.
Mahomes went before him. Deshaun Watson went before him. I believe even Rodgers and Brady went before him. And I was just kind of like
in our mock.
Yeah, I believe so.
But you didn't get Luck in the mock that we did.
Maybe not, but I believe he was available late.
Yeah,
I think I considered him.
Oh. He fell like crazy last year because of the shoulder injury, but
I think he's vastly undervalued.
A lot of people didn't think he would ever throw again. With that shoulder injury,
we had serious questions, but he proved all the doubters wrong.
That he did,
and he's got a lot of different options to work with this season.
Yep.
Jack Doyle's hopefully going to come back to health. He got Paris Campbell, a new weapon.
Still has T.Y.
Big time Devin Funchess in the offense now, just a big target in the end zone.
Didn't he lose Ebron though?
No,
Ebron's still on the team?
Still on the team.
Oh, shit.
Still balling out. They got Jack Doyle, Ebron, and Mo Alley Cox, who's a pretty damn good tight end 3 to have.
Yeah. And we all know that I love Devin Funchess. I think that he's always been like a guy with like freak athletic ability. He's tall. He's long.
Big boy, 6'5".
He's fast. I think he has an opportunity there to revitalize his career with an Andrew Luck opportunity.
Right. So like, while none of these guys, and obviously we haven't even mentioned T.Y. Hilton yet.
So I mentioned him briefly. But
but none of these guys are going to like jump off the page per se, but they all,
they all have Andrew Luck thrown into them.
Did we mention Paris Campbell?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of guys that he's going to have to throw the ball to, and that team is going to have a very solid season. I think he's got like a solid line up front for him.
I could see them being the AFC representation.
Quentin Nelson.
I do too. And yeah, no kidding. Beast. And I would have Mahomes at number 1 if he had the weapons that Andrew Luck does.
Or if he had the same weapons that Patrick Mahomes had last year.
Exactly. So with Tyreek Hill's legal situation.
Yeah, if he had Hill. But that's why I ranked him number 1, just because I'm still thinking Hill will play until they say otherwise.
Right. But everything broke right for the Chiefs offense last season. And
I would
having
agree.
Kareem Hunt, it was a serious boon for Mahomes. The defense,
his stats definitely went down once Kareem Hunt went out.
And the defenses are going to start figuring it out to a certain extent. I mean, he makes plays that no one else can.
Sophomore slumps are a real thing.
Yeah.
I believe in them. So that moves us into our second pick, which is not Patrick Mahomes, because I have Rodgers ranked 3, Tim has Rodgers ranked 2, and Cole has Rodgers ranked 3.
Rodgers!
So consensus overall, average it out. Rodgers ends up at number 2, who
from the Bay.
In an upcoming episode where we pick divisions and winners and stuff like that, I took Rodgers all the way to the Super Bowl, much to Brian Chopik, not Brian Cole, but Brian Chopik's chagrin. He was not pleased with me, but Aaron Rodgers is still one of the best quarterbacks on the planet.
Exactly.
I still think he's the best quarterback in the league, but
just current ability.
Fantasy. Yeah.
And he's been released from the
the Mike McCarthy prison.
Exactly. So he hopefully will get unleashed to a certain extent with the LaFleur offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes you feel a little bit better about his prospects. Hopefully he has a clean bill of health. He also has a great line up front protecting him.
Yeah.
And he's Aaron freaking Rodgers.
He still has Devontae Adams. They got some interesting weapons.
Mr. Reliable from Fresno State himself.
They still have Jimmy Graham, so we'll see what he does.
And they seemed to click a little bit when they were on the field together.
And they drafted a tight end, Jay Sternberger, in the 3rd round. Yeah. He's very solid. Not many people know of him, but he's good.
And they still got Geronimo Allen, who I like a lot. Mm-hmm. I think he has tremendous upside now that you don't have like so many people in front of him.
And lastly, I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling is coming on. He had a couple flashes last season, and he could beat Allison out for the job. We'll see.
He could.
They're getting drafted right around the same point right
also with the Packers, what they did in the offseason, they invested heavily on the defense, so that means more time on the field for the offense. So
agreed. And the other thing I will point out is that for once in his career, Aaron Rodgers has a really strong running backfield.
Yes, and LaFleur intends to make the running game an extension of the passing game with more passing to the backfield.
I like Aaron Jones.
I think Jones can do it. He's definitely shifty. If he can just catch the ball and, make that shiftiness happen in space, he's going to just pad Rodgers' stats as
100% agree.
It's getting, we're getting giddy talking about Rodgers. So
Dude, I like him.
Yeah.
He's my boy. And he's a Bay Area boy. Came out of the Chico system. And
exactly.
Go
Bears.
I wish the Niners drafted Rodgers. First 2 picks, people I wish the Niners drafted. All right.
So
pretty much every pick.
Quick aside, though, disclaimer, while we're getting giddy about these guys, don't overdraft your quarterbacks unless your league settings specifically favor quarterbacks for whatever reason.
Yeah, if you get 7 points per touchdown, you go draft a quarterback early. But if it's the traditional
4,
then
5th
round, 6th round.
If you love Pat Mahomes, that's one thing, but to take him in like the 2nd round, he literally has to repeat an MVP season. So
and you have to nail every other pick because you're going to be reaching and you're going to be preying on running back and wide receiver.
So where are you taking like your first quarterback? Just real quick, get that out of the way, and we'll continue.
All right, general rule of thumb: I never touch a quarterback until I have both my running backs and wide receivers.
So 5th round.
5th round maximum, and usually later. Usually way later.
Earliest 4th if I'm in love with someone, but that changed. 3 years ago, it was quarterback second or 3rd round, but recently 4th round.
Yeah.
Early.
They're going to go earlier, but wait until like the 5th, 6th round. If you look at expert drafts, they're going to be going – it's like playing chicken of who's going to draft the quarterback first. So get excited, but wait on these guys because there's so much value that we're going to get into.
The best fantasy advice I ever got was either be first on a position or wait on a position, period.
The thing is, with the quarterbacks, there's a good 10, 12 options that are all starters, that are all capable, and the point value difference isn't going to be a big large amount.
I'm also going to put this out there. Tom Brady isn't on our list.
He's not on our list.
Jimmy
and-
Garoppolo,
Yeah.
not on our list. You
Lamar
know,
Jackson with the rushing abilities not on our list.
Yeah.
He's in
Well,
somebody's
He's
top
on
12.
my list,
but
but
he's like 12. And
he is
but-
12.
Ben
But-
Roethlisberger,
but
you know,
Cole-
could do some things.
Exactly. Cole's point of like the equivocation between the point totals in the position,
Yeah.
they just are so marginal that you
Yeah.
don't need to reach on quarterback. So don't do it. But
Yeah.
if somebody great falls to you,
But the marginal difference is on another position, like running back, number one
Vast.
versus number 4 could be 200 points.
Mhm.
Could be.
Could
not realistically, but could be 200 points.
Depending
Or
on your
if
settings.
you nail
Yeah.
number
that's
4.
some crazy ass league.
Yeah, I know, but
But you could nail number 4 and number 1 could tear his ACL too. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it's all a
Yeah.
crapshoot.
In that, yeah.
Yeah.
put
It's
it
all
that way,
strategy. You can't win your league in your draft, but you can lose your league in your draft.
So good.
100%.
Good disclaimer. So let's talk about Mahomey.
Mahomey ends up at our number 3. I have him the lowest with Tim. We both have him at 4.
Yep.
Cole has him at number 1.
and I have him at number 1 because I'm assuming right now Hill is playing.
Right.
That's why.
Even with
2 game
Hill,
suspension. Are you still drafting Mahomes 1?
No.
Okay. Well, that's probably. I'd say that's. I would guess right now that's where we're going to be. So.
yeah.
Yeah. But as of right, for the information that I have now, that's why I made this list the way it is.
That's fair.
So
The way I look at Mahomes too is everything has to break right 2 years in a row. I just don't. A lot of the time, if you look at MVPs, people overdraft MVPs and they're always disappointed by them, right? Like, I mean, how many times have you seen an MVP repeat their year? Never.
It's
It
Peyton Manning and
doesn't
Tom
happen.
Brady, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
And I don't think Mahomes is that guy. I think he had like just this amazing situation that he walked into, right? You know, he had Tyreek Hill, he had Andy Reid as his coordinator. He had like an offense that was completely consistent minus, a quick quarterback change that made Alex Smith, who is not even in the top 20, look in the top 5.
And guys can come in and take the league by storm, and like Mahomes was like the quintessential, just like I'm gonna like take this league by storm in the first few weeks. Like 4 touchdowns
Yeah.
a game.
And again,
5.
sophomore slumps
but-
are a real thing.
But you have to look at his freak ability, and his freak ability is off the charts compared to everyone else on this list, besides maybe Carson Wentz.
Probably the most exciting quarterback to own.
Yeah.
Because of that, 75-yard touchdown throwing, in the air.
Yeah, I just
ability
saw
and
clips of him
Imagine-
throwing balls out of the stadium.
He
Yeah,
flicks his
I
wrist
did
and it
see
goes
that.
50 yards.
Imagine Colin Kaepernick with accuracy. That's how fast his freak ability is with a little downgrade on the running. But that's what you're looking at with Mahomes.
100%.
Undeniable.
And that's
So-
why he didn't fall that far. I mean,
No.
realistically, he fell to 3. It's not like an insult.
No.
So, and then at our 4 spot, we have a guy who also had MVP caliber year his first year, and then had some injury problems at the end of it, and then last year was a pretty great comeback player. Deshaun Watson, who's
Yep.
an interesting player. I mean, he's not necessarily as mobile as Mahomes, but he's
Oh.
pretty mobile.
I think he's more mobile.
You think he's more mobile?
Well,
Oh,
they're both like slippery fish in the backfield. And
Yeah.
And the difference with Watson, he holds on the ball a decent amount, but like he has guys coming at him because his line is god awful. It's
That's
one
it.
of the
Yeah,
bottom
I would say
5 in the
Mahomes
league.
probably had more yards last year, though.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
they invested
Wait,
a lot on their
are you saying
offensive
rushing?
line, though.
I'm not sure. I mean, Watson was coming off an ACL, so
That's
you
why
gotta
I'm
keep that
saying
in
that,
mind.
yeah.
But I think with another year under his belt, like
You think
yeah.
he'll be more mobile than Mahomes this year?
It's hard. That's hard to say, but yeah, based on the scrambling that I think Watson's gonna have to do because
Okay.
the offensive
Okay.
line's still poor. Yeah,
But they invested in it.
Look, I'm
That's-
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I'm
like
willing
what
to-
they did, but
no, but
I'm willing
still
to admit
first
when I'm
round tackle.
wrong. I put Watson as my second, to be perfectly real.
and I have him as my third, and we got
Cole
the
has him
hater
at
over
the
here
fifth.
at 5.
I'm amazed you have Ryan so high, although I have Ryan the lowest by a lot.
Well, who does Watson have to throw to?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly.
Then my number 1 wide receiver. Just
And
saying.
Our number 1 consensus wide receiver
Oh.
as well.
They,
Okay.
they don't know how to.
So that's 3
they,
number 1s.
they don't know how to like develop or draft tight ends, but their wide receiver crew with Kiki Kuti and
a
Will
strong
Fuller,
defense that'll keep him on the field a lot.
If that guy can stay on the field,
stay healthy and take the top off the
when
defense.
when Will Fuller connects with Deshaun Watson,
that's when it's
always pretty much a touchdown.
That's when it's dynamic.
Every time.
So this ranking will be contingent on Will Fuller's recovery from his like mid-season ACL. So you got to monitor that.
That dude, he comes on the field for 4 games a year, and he's the most exciting player.
I know.
Then he's gone.
He's just so fast. So crossing my fingers, he's healthy and Watson balls out.
But I mean, I still
awesome.
like Deshaun Watson. He's a baller.
Yep.
And that's why I had him at number 2. I had Rodgers at 3, and God knows I have a boner for Rodgers. But then our consensus 5 falls down to Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Personally, I am not high on Matt Ryan. I have him as my 9 rank. And the reason I have Matt Ryan as my 9 rank is I have always been able to get him late. And I've never been like, except for 1 year, 1 year where he was, amazing.
Wasn't he the quarterback too last season? He was weirdly insane.
I know
high.
that he does that.
It didn't feel like it, but he
doesn't
had
feel
30s.
like
He might have been. I'm not sure.
He had upper 30s touchdowns and a lot of yards.
We can call my list the gut check list. I generally go on my gut.
No problem with that. I would say the tier drops off after Watson because those top 4 are amazing, and then you don't need to reach for Ryan.
You got
hopefully.
questions for a lot of them.
I would say the tier drops after Ryan, and the reason why is because he did so well last year without his offensive coordinator, and this offensive coordinator is very, very good. When was the last time their offense exploded? Oh, yeah, with an offensive coordinator named Kyle Shanahan, now the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. I truly think this year's offense for Atlanta is going to be very, very good.
The dirt cutter touch. Well, he's an upgrade over Steve Sarkisian in all likelihood.
Zero question.
I mean, I really like the case for Matt Ryan, and as I was mentioning to you before this, is that they have 13 games indoors this season, which is a lot more favorable. They travel a lot more yardage, but they play like against Indy, the Texans. Those are their road games. Arizona. I think they're gonna be playing in a lot more shootouts this season. They host the Rams. I think those point totals are going to be pretty high, and those will work in Matt Ryan's favor. Now, I'm not just thinking he is the most talented guy in the world, but he just gets it done. So I have him at 5. We have him at 5. So
I'm just a realistic Matty Ice hater. I've just always have been. He's like one of those guys that gets it done, but it's never pretty. You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, like his week 1 against Philly was god awful. So
and I think he's one of those guys that can really fuck you for a week too.
He can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't always perform well on the road, but against a tough environment.
That's what Julio Jones does. And at the end of the year, Julio will still have probably the most receptions in the league up there.
We'll see.
And the most yards.
I'm a little low on Julio.
If Devontae Freeman returns to even B-level Devontae Freeman, that's going to help a lot too.
God knows.
Who's their number 2?
Running back is only Ito Smith because Tevin Coleman's gone.
So. Tevin Coleman's a Niner.
Yeah, but the offense is going to be good. So, Ryan at 5. But, don't wait. I would be drafting Ryan in the 8th or at the earliest.
Yeah, agreed. And then our consensus 6 is Baker Mayfield, another guy that I am very low on. I believe I am the lowest on. Yeah, so you both have him at 6. I have him at 8.
And Baker Mania is like even more hyped than we have it because I believe he'll be at 5 for the consensus, and he is. Yeah. So the tier drops off after Rodgers for the expert consensus rankings, and they have Baker at 5, Ryan at 6.
Yeah.
So Baker Mania is in full force.
I definitely put Mayfield above Matt Ryan. That being said, just not high on anyone on the Browns until they give me at least 2 or 3 years.
Until you see otherwise? Or
yeah. No, I mean, I saw a little bit last year for sure. I mean, Baker Mayfield did some things. There's no question about that.
The tables have turned.
But does he
did
just
things and then he got the second best wide receiver in the league?
For sure, he has that. But at the same time, the Browns have proven that they can add talent and that they can fuck that up. And the other thing is, I again think sophomore slumps are a real thing. 100%. So that's why you'll see that I have like Mahomes low. I have Mayfield low. I have, I see that happening a lot of the time. But the other thing is, I don't think Baker Mayfield belongs in the top 5, realistically speaking.
Okay.
He hasn't earned it.
He's proven people wrong his whole career, and like he's the one guy that I would say is most immune to a sophomore slump. He doesn't have the like legs, the production on the ground to sustain. But so that's why I think top 5 is also a little bit too bullish. But
I think people are a bit bullish on him, especially after the Mahomes experiment last year. People want to go young. I think that makes sense. It's just I'm not,
and he'd be so exciting to own. So
100%.
But don't SK drafted him I think before Watson in our pod, and I was
Which
like,
I
do
would
you regret
never
doing
do.
that? Exactly, because I sure would regret doing that if
I
were
would
him.
regret doing that. I would rather have Watson all day.
Don't draft quarterbacks of all, especially on their upside, and so that's where Baker falls.
Base them on past production because quarterback is one of the most consistent positions in the league. It's one of those positions that you can kind of sit back and look at, who is, like some of the guys I put above him, like Wilson and Breeze. And God knows, there's some podcasts where you have some audio of me just hating on Wilson.
Yep.
But like I legitimately think that they have proven themselves enough times that like they have to be above Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so let's move on to Wilson because he's our next guy at 7. Mike has him at 6. He loves Russell Wilson, guys.
I don't.
And I have him at 8, and so does Cole. So that's a pretty solid
I've very
agreement.
much avoided drafting Russell Wilson for years on purpose because generally speaking, what happens is they put that offense on his back, and a lot of the times, like, he'll have a great game, but then there are times where they just can't throw, I mean, like, he's mobile.
But they choose not to because
And
they
at
ran
some
the
point,
ball.
it's going to catch up to them.
I was listening, I think it was like Rich Rebar or somebody on the Roto World podcast talk about how they were the number 1 rushing offense as far as most carries in the league. And like the history of that is that always shifts back at least to like, they were no longer in the top 5, I think it was the following season. So you have to imagine while they do want to commit to the run, it's not going to be as focused as it was last season. I mean, they just drafted DK Metcalf. I think they're going to be excited to just like rip it open and see what they're depending on Doug Baldwin when he wasn't there last year. Now they have Tyler Lockett more established, a new toy in DK Metcalf. Like the options are limited because after that it's like David Moore, Will Disley, like
100%.
And they didn't invest in their O-line, so he's going to be running. That's a lot of points for fantasy quarterback.
Right, and he's not the scrambler he was. But
in a league like ours where, all right, so for instance, if you get points off for sacks, does that count against Russell Wilson in your book?
That's a good question. I actually
we
don't
lose points for sacks.
It sure counts against Deshaun Watson because that guy takes sacks.
That's
true. Wilson avoids a lot of sacks.
He does.
Actually,
he's pretty shifty,
especially since they keep him really efficient.
I mean, last year he had a game where he got 6 sacks against him. So
I think at the end of the day, since they limit the amount of dropbacks, he's usually okay. But I mean, if anybody's willing to evade free rushers, it's Russell Wilson. Yeah. So I will say in our mock, I took him and I felt okay about it at the time. But then I was like, when Wentz I went after because I'm really high on Wentz and he feels like the better value later because I just love that upside of that offense. And
100%.
So that can segue into our next guy,
which is Wentz, who I, again, have drafted lower than everyone. I have him at 10. And my thing is just, it's injuries. That's the only thing. I love Wentz's talent. I love his offense. I love the players that he has around him. But he's got to make it through a season for me. And that's the only reason. That's it. That's the only argument I have. That's literally all I have on Wentz.
Yeah, so. He does try to Big Ben it a little bit.
But you both have him at 7. So that's why he makes it into our 8 slot. Probably, actually, looking at the consensus, personally, the more I think about it, the more I would rather have, like, Wentz's upside over Wilson's.
They're just neck and neck for me.
Yeah.
I can't make up my mind between them.
It's
and
tough.
I think you get to have Wentz, if it's between those positions, you get to have, and you're on the turn, Wentz will fall to you more than Wilson in that case. So if you're of the mind that we are, you might be able to just get Wentz like a pick or 2 later. So keep that in mind.
And then our next pick is where I actually finally have someone much higher than everyone else because I've been down
A little
a
higher.
lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot higher. I have
7.
him-
It's
And
not
we-
even on my list.
He's on your list.
Oh.
We have Breeze at 9. The
Okay,
man is
sorry.
Drew Brees. You might have heard of him.
I have
You're
Drew Brees
talking
at
about someone
7.
else.
It's all right.
I
And
think he's much higher than. I personally would rather have him over Mayfield. I'd rather have him over Ryan.
that in of itself is a pretty bold statement.
I mean,
So you go ahead
Drew
and
Brees is
take
Drew
the mic.
Brees. Drew Brees is a future Hall of Famer. Drew Brees last year made it to the NFC Championship game, was on pace to have a potential MVP year until he fell off at the end, but he is still a magic man, and that man deserves your respect.
I love Drew Brees. You don't need to tell
Yeah.
me.
The thing is with Drew Brees, he could be the number 1 pick next year, or the number 1 fantasy quarterback next year. You never know.
He's an amazing
He's-
value
he's-
at where he goes right now.
He could have that Tom Brady
Yeah.
season, but I think, again, his options aren't like crazy unlimited. You know, he has Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
Keep going. Help me out. You guys name his weapons.
Doesn't he have?
I can't.
Exactly.
Doesn't he have
let me know
that
when
guy
to
that used be on the
interject.
Niners?
They
Panthers, then Niners.
Who does that remind
Niners
you
and
of? though?
Panthers.
Ted Ginn.
Ted Ginn, doesn't
They
still
still have
Ginn?
Ted
Yeah.
Ginn. That's
Yeah.
one.
Ted Ginn breaks those.
Who's the tight end?
Who is the tight end?
It's actually not bad. It's Jared Cook from the Raiders.
See, that's what I
they-
thought.
the
I thought
new
they had
signing.
upgraded it right at
So-
tight end. And this is the thing.
He's a wild card. I
What
wanna
happened
see-
last time he had a good tight end?
Well, is Jared
His name
Cook
was
a good
Jimmy
tight end?
Graham.
I
I
know.
think Jared Cook is a good tight end
And that's what I want to see.
because
Is
he
it-
made
is
Derek Carr look good.
He made some great plays last
Yeah.
season, but
So-
he's 34 or whatever. So
But let's just look at what happened between Jimmy Graham goes from Drew Brees, right? He goes to Russell Wilson, and the production falls off a cliff. Then he goes from Russell Wilson, who, again, I maintain is not my favorite quarterback, right? And then he goes to Aaron Rodgers, who is a much better quarterback. And when those two are on the same field, it looks pretty good. So
didn't
I think
last year.
no, it looked good when they connected. Like when
like in
wasn't
one
much.
time in preseason,
they
I
had,
remember
they
that.
had a few games.
a few.
And they look good. I maintain that Jimmy Graham and Aaron Rodgers are going to become a thing. And I maintain that Drew Brees is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. Maybe not a better fantasy quarterback,
agree.
but I think he's a better quarterback. And
But at
because
this
of that,
stage, I mean,
I think he's a better quarterback than Derek Carr as well. And so by saying that, I think Jared Cook, who had a great year last year, could actually take the
yeah,
next step.
it's a nice little bump. He's also has Traquan Smith entering his second year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's just not a ton there.
It's not like they lost weapons. I mean, they lost.
I think
what?
Mark Ingram was a nice little
who
blanket.
made them run more, but they
He
grabbed.
could catch, too.
Then who did they grab?
They got Latavius,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
who's
I
like
don't.
a slightly poor man's, in my opinion.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. I think
We're
Drew
not thinking
Brees
it's
is your
bad.
best. I think Drew Brees is one of the best value quarterbacks because consensus,
Value? Yeah, I agree.
consensus, he's ranked 10,
And we have him at 9 and you 7. So
Yeah.
it's not like we're low on him.
No, I think you can get some good production out of Drew Brees if you draft him at value at 10. Fuck, I would take Drew Brees at 10 all day, every day.
Right.
If I get him as the 10th quarterback off the board, I'm gonna come at you guys because I've been drafting great ass running backs and great ass wide receivers the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You'll all have reached on a quarterback, and Drew Brees is gonna outperform at least half of those guys.
I'm-
Mark my words.
I will wonder if it's finally the year where you need to draft, not necessarily draft, but have a backup in the event that Drew Brees goes on the road against like Jacksonville because they play the AFC South.
Yeah.
because
That's where you go get Jimmy G for.
Yes, I just think Drew Brees at this stage in his career isn't like a 16-week.
Yeah, you take a
starter.
risk guy for your second guy. You take Jimmy G. You take even take Jared Goff. Fuck it.
Well, I like Lamar Jackson or
Lamar Jackson.
Josh
yeah, take
Allen.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
just guys
Dude,
that run.
Josh Allen, he got so many rushing yards last year.
Right. So
These are all guys that can back up a Drew Brees and they can give you that opportunity to absolutely just you roll Drew Brees on his hot weeks, you roll these guys on the weeks where he's going to be, playing Jacksonville, like you said.
yeah,
I think Drew Brees
you make a good case.
is a very strong quarterback
wanna-
proven otherwise.
You want
man.
to talk about then why your next guy is even higher than Drew Brees? Because our next person, because if you heard earlier on, you were, you had a guy at up 10, 11, 12. It's just like, who does he have so high? Mike over here
Yeah.
has Cam Newton at number 5, and that's our next guy.
I like Cam. Cam has proven to be a top 5 quarterback time and time again. And
Well,
I understand he's coming off an injury.
He's
I
my
understand
11th
this.
because of the shoulder.
Because of the shoulder, but really his game doesn't really rely on the run. I mean, on the throw, based on it definitely relies
He's
on the
my
run.
10th. So.
And the
It
reason
does
it doesn't,
rely on lowering his shoulder.
but I mean, with a Christian McCaffrey, I think he's gonna be fine. He says the injury's pretty well healed,
All reports are sounding positive.
and so based on that, I mean, I've seen him come back after injury after injury after injury. Yeah, obviously he doesn't always stay on the field, but like that guy plays through shit, and Superman is not an exaggeration for Cam Newton. Cam Newton, that dude does shit that always impresses me. And when he has to run, which I think he will be having to move and be mobile, I think that's when he's at his most dynamic. And I think they've done some things where, Christian McCaffrey has gotten bulked up in the offseason. I think there's some good upside on the Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they still had Devin Funchess, but I think,
DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel's arrows,
Moore
they're
is
pointing
nice.
up. Olsen's arrow's pointing way down.
Yeah.
It's just... I'm just concerned about the
get
ability
it.
for him to...
I'm
I mean, it
being
might be
bold.
another Andrew Luck situation from last year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you watch the end of the season last year, it was hard to watch Cam play. He had that, Monday Night Football game against the Saints, where the Saints didn't actually show up. And Cam just couldn't win it because he couldn't throw the ball, and it was just really hard to watch. So
100%. But
if you can bounce back from that, I'm happy about him again.
If you're grabbing him as the 11th or 12th quarterback,
You're not
off your
gonna.
board, you're not going to
no.
be that upset about that.
They got...
I would have Cam ranked as high as you if I knew those QB sneaks were going to happen at the 1 yard line, because that's where he gets a lot of his points, and I don't think that's going to happen this year.
I think it will. I think they got to keep
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey out healthy, and I think they can't just keep shoving him between the tackles,
Yeah.
right? And they're gonna. I think he's gonna end up getting more of the outside runs. I think he's gonna get more passing, and I think he's gonna do less of that. I know he says he's gonna do more between the tackles, but Christian McCaffrey's not in charge of that choice. I think Cam has proven time and time again he's durable enough. And I think he'll stay on that field even if his fucking leg snaps in half. That dude's a fucking badass.
He wants to, but
I want to believe and see his health, and once I see that, he will jump the next guy for me, because we have Goff as our consensus 11,
Yeah.
and I have Newton at 11, Goff at 10, and I'm the one that's probably propping Goff up to 11.
I don't
Cole
even
doesn't
have
have
him.
Cole doesn't have him
12,
ranked. I have him at
12.
11.
And it's mainly because he is a part of he is the captain of the Los Angeles Rams offense, which is just Sean McVay, just week in, week out, unlimited upside as far as fantasy production. I mean, Mike has 3 wide receivers for that team in the top 20, and the consensus has them in the top 22 or something, Cup it being the third. So, that is all tied to Goff. So while you might not love his ability, though he's showing he's getting better and better. He had an awful rookie year, but he's proven that he was worthy of a top selection in the draft, and tied to Sean McVay. That's just a nice, reliable thing to be tied to. So, I think we're still at quarterbacks where if that's your quarterback 1 leaving the draft, you're happy.
Yeah.
And we're on number 11 now. So, if you notice, guys, you don't need to reach for your guy. You can wait.
I mean, even Winston's an interesting case, who we have as consensus 12.
I love Jameis.
You and me both have him
yeah.
12, and Cole actually boosts him up at 11.
We all love Jameis. As far as where he is
Famous
going,
Jameis.
He's going to eat some W's this season.
Oh, he's gonna throw
And he
a lot of picks.
doesn't have the
But
competition.
he's gonna throw a lot of touchdowns, and he's gonna throw a lot of yards. And
Bruce is going to get pissed, but he's also going to, pat him on the butt when
Bruce
he
is
throws
gonna air it
touchdowns
out.
to Mike Evans. So, yep.
So there you go.
So
That's a
if
top
you-
12. We
if
gave you a couple
you're-
bonus picks.
Yep.
if your league gives extra bonus picks for 400-yard games and stuff like that, he's gonna be bumped up on my list.
Yeah,
so,
That's actually a fair point.
Yep.
he has big games But
You take the good with the bad.
But you might see 3-4 picks in a game.
Yeah, if
you might get benched.
True. You got to remember these things.
Look at your league settings on this guy, because if you get 20 interceptions, that's going to kill you. Then draft like Drew Brees, and or Goff more likely.
Yeah.
But if production in general is just king in fantasy, and Jameis just like was when he came in, he was like top 5 quarterback when they finally decided to bench Fitzpatrick. And
100%.
And Fitzpatrick and Winston combined last season was the quarterback 2 last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So
100%.
how can you stop at a top 10? You have to do 12.
No, you have to do 12. I mean, we had some disagreements too. That being said, follow us on our new social media. We've got a Twitter at FantasyBrosCast. We have Instagram, the Super Fantasy Bros. You can find us on Facebook at the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast. And, if you want to email us, if you want to tell us that we're fucking idiots, if you want to tell us that we're fucking brilliant, if you want to tell us that you have questions, we want to answer your questions on the air. You can email us at superfantasybrospod@gmail.com.
Email, follow, subscribe.
Nailed it. Keep it going.
Click that like button. Shoot.
Take off your shirt.
Subscribe.